right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of, I'm going to rename the podcast actually. It's now going to be called the Resolution Podcast, where we help artists gain clarity on their calling. All right, let's get into it. Today's guest is a very good friend of mine. We've been chatting for some time now. He's worked with KRS-One and has had incredible records. It is my man, Jackson Whalan. Let's give it up.
Yo, yo.
What's up, man? How you feeling?
What's good? I'm good. I'm good. Been busy, but it's definitely good, you know. Today's been
Yeah,
one of those days where like every moment is occupied.
absolutely. Oh, I've
Yeah.
I've had a lot of those, like working at my day job and then school. I feel that.
But we're
Definitely.
out here. It feels good, you
We are
know.
out here. It feels
Getting
incredible.
after it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I noticed over when I first started kind of got introduced to you, I noticed that like you're a rapper, you have incredible lyrics. Then I saw you also produced, which is incredible. And as a producer, I have huge respect for people that can do both. So what came first? Were you rapping or producing first?
That's a great question. I started rapping first because that's what like really kind of was the most therapeutic for me, you know. And then I started making beats like just because I was rapping and I wanted to have original beats. Like it started where I was just rapping over famous beats or like even rapping over like songs when it first started. And then eventually, you know, I just knew that eventually I would need to have original beats. And so I started making beats kind of pretty close to when I started rapping. I became interested in making beats, but it was like I wouldn't have made beats if I didn't rap,
Mm,
you know, because like the rapping needed original beats. So that's how it started for me.
okay. And how did you start writing?
The first time I started writing, I was like 9 or 10, and I was listening to the Fugees, the album, The Score. And Lauryn Hill was my favorite MC at the time. Like, just loved the Fugees and that album specifically. And it was some of those songs on the album that, like, How Many Mics? I don't, are you familiar with like the Fugees back in the day?
I really haven't listened to a whole lot of them. I really should, but I know of them for sure. And I've seen a couple of freestyles that Lauryn Hill did, which shout out Lauryn Hill, Miss Lauryn Hill, excuse me. But yeah, she's
Yeah.
incredible.
So it was that, and then it was Nas, the album New York State of Mind, the song on Illmatic, New York State of Mind. Just that beat was so hard, and Nas's voice was so inspiring to me. And you know, I'm like a white kid from the woods, but like hip hop was finding its way out to where I was. And so I was also obsessed with New York City, and I really loved just how rap spoke to me as like a young kind of angry kid in out in the woods.
That's dope, man. That's crazy you say New York State of Mind because that was actually one of the songs that made me want to get into production. I heard
Nice.
that there's just a din din din. I was like, man, what is this?
Yeah, that sample is amazing. Um, are you familiar with Robert Glasper?
Robert Glasper, no.
He's an amazing uh keyboard player, piano player, composer, and jazz musician. But he kind of broke down that sample. I'm actually just looking it up right now just so I can mention it because that sample is really dope. The original is really sick. And DJ Premier. There's a few samples in that song. There's Mind Rain by Joe Chambers,
Mm-hmm.
Flight Time by Donald Byrd, and the song NT by Cool and the Gang.
Is that a
Crazy.
video where he breaks it down?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
find it on the internet. Maybe we can link it in the description for people or
Yeah,
something.
that's what I'm gonna do. Just writing that
Nice.
down.
Cool, cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, you saying from New York, I mean, and then turning that into, or and then many years down the road working with KRS-One, I bet that was just a dream come true.
Yeah, because KRS-One was also one of those artists in the very beginning that I was listening to and feeling super inspired by. And I crossed paths with him pretty early on when I was living in New York City during college. I don't know if he'll remember this moment, but he was giving a talk on his book, The Temple of Hip Hop, at Barnes and Noble in Tribeca, like downtown New York City. And I was going to college there at the time. And I just went to the reading and it was amazing, like super cool. You know, he wrote a book. It's like a huge book. It's incredible. So I got to meet him and ask him a couple questions, and then I didn't connect with him for a long time. And then just through touring and ending up in California, I met some people who were connected with him, and that was my path to collaborating with him.
Wow. And then did you so you were in the actual, because I saw the little mini documentary that you had about that, of how that song came to be, the reading.
Nice. You watched that?
Yeah,
Nice.
that was crazy, which I'm gonna link that in the description too. It's From the Woods, right? It
Yeah.
was called, yeah,
Yeah.
From the Woods. You guys better go check that out because it's incredible. I love that song.
Cool,
Uh,
man.
um, but I saw that he was like, when he was recording, there was like cops out or something like that. Like, what was going on there?
Oh yeah, that was just like a funny moment.
Oh,
We my buddy who did the video, like there were just like police outside pulling somebody over on the side of the road, and we just like took that moment
oh,
and like made it part of the drama.
that's
It like
so funny.
actually didn't have anything to do with what was going on. Cause he's got the sound of the police or
Mhm.
whatever. It's
Yeah,
just
I was
funny.
like, wait, is this like for real?
Dude, that was like a hidden joke.
Damn.
Yeah.
I would have never thought about that.
Yeah, yeah. That's so funny. Cause it was this moment where, his wife Simone, who manages a lot of his career and is a huge part of his career, she texted me and was like, yo, we're in the studio right now recording the song.
Mhm.
And so it was like this moment where like he's recording, and it's like everything's building, and then you're waiting for that mix to come back, because they
Yeah.
sent me like a reference version from the studio, and I was like so hyped because it's a dream come true to work with him. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
you didn't get to work with him in the studio?
No, because this was during like pandemic times. So
Oh.
like we were just corresponding with each other. Um so yeah, we did not connect in person for that song. Um but it was just that time, and I'm sure that we'll connect, when the time is right. So
Yeah, absolutely.
but yeah, it was cool because when I got the verse back, I felt very connected with him in that moment, because I've collaborated remotely with a lot of people, and in person. Obviously in person is ideal for collaboration, but especially during the pandemic, um, it's just like a matter of keeping things going, and like the fact that we can collaborate remotely is huge. I mean, we're doing this right now, so that's
Yeah, that's
cool. I,
true.
I hope to meet you in person sometime.
That would be incredible, man. I would love
Yeah.
that. Come out to Oregon.
Dude, I love Oregon. Yeah. Where in Oregon are you?
I'm in Eugene.
Oh, I love it
So
out there. Yeah.
yeah, it's
I've played out there before.
oh
Um
really?
at the Hi-Fi. Is it called
Oh,
Hi-Fi? Hi-Fi Music Hall?
I think I've heard that name
Uh
before.
cool.
Yeah, or the McDonald Theater. I think Jackson or Jack Harlow played there. But anyway, that's neither here nor
Yeah.
there. But that was, I bet that was incredible, just like being with that in him. And actually, you mentioned something about collaboration. What is your like creative process in collaboration, I guess? Do you like to bounce ideas off each other, or do you like to just like, all right, you write your verse, I'll write my verse, and we just like get it done that way?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, there's like maybe a phone call or conversation that could happen before collaborating with somebody, um, whether it's in person or remotely. But yeah, so and also it does start with the beat. If I'm working with another MC, I'll always, have a beat or sometimes create a beat with the person I'm collabing with. But usually there's already a beat that either I made or somebody else made. And so we start there, and then there's different scenarios, like with this group Break Bread that I just released an album with. We were in the studio all together, like writing in notebooks and doing it in like a very classic, like in-person way, where like if you listen to our song Structure from the new album from Corona Diaries, like you'll hear that we're trading off like two bars, or like some of us are finishing each other's lines. So there's that process, which I love. It's like we're all one entity writing something. And then there's other things where it's like, oh, I have an open verse on this song. Like, who can add to this by putting a verse down? So it's kind of like those two situations. With KRS, it was like, I've got this track and it's pretty much done. And I even released that song before I had him on it. So he was on the remix. So in that situation, I was making a beat, and I was like, as I was making that beat, I was like hearing KRS on it. I just had him in mind because of his voice and the way that I was just like imagining him over that beat because of the music, and then sent the beat to my contact with him, and then waited, and then like, didn't hear anything back. So I was just like, all right, I'm not waiting, because I'm the kind of person who doesn't really wait. Like, I always need to move forward and move things forward. So put out the song, months later, I hear back they're down to collab. So it's like double back and like open the track back up and have him on the same song.
That's incredible. And I bet it was just nuts hearing him say your voice on his verse too.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. The shout out was dope. And it was great to get, a look into how they're doing things, him and his team, and to be able to build with him on that level. And I've been working with his son, K Prime too, and he's out in the UK. He's a producer, and he's putting together some new music and stuff. And I did some stuff for him recently. So, if you get an opportunity, it's like, if things go well, it can lead to 100 other things that come from that one thing that you just, when you had the opportunity, it's like you went for it and you got all these other rewards from that. So I'm really thankful.
That's awesome. It's just like opening that one door. It's like that was it,
Yeah.
man.
And it's cool because like he's a legend and one of my dream collaborations. But like going back to collaboration in general, like the way that we did it is just one way that you can do it. Maybe next time it'll be in the studio creating something from scratch, or working with a band and writing tracks that way, which I love to do as well. So
Working with a band.
yeah, so like that's another way that I love to record music and perform shows is with live music and incorporating live musicians. So like when I perform, in some cases I'll be able to bring like a 6-piece live band. And then I dropped an EP a couple years ago called Epic Proportions, which is 5 songs with a full band, horns, drums, keys, bass, and like I'm doing some production and sampling and stuff.
That's so cool.
Dude, it's my favorite. Like,
That
yeah,
rem-
whenever I can, I do that. I do it that way.
yeah. I heard or I saw this video, and it was this orchestra and DJ Premier all
Hmm.
like recreating the beat to work. Have you seen that?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
love that.
I'll link that in the description too. When I saw that, that blew my mind. Just like the
Yeah,
little, like string stabs. I was like, man.
it's just so amazing to see how, you know, hip hop can transform and just be in so many different contexts. And when you incorporate those elements, it widens the audience of people who are going to be like in the end exposed to like dope hip hop. You know, like people who only love classical will now be like, this is, I can get into this now. It's like cool to
Yeah.
think that like, you know, those people will hear hip hop for the first time with those new elements, or because of those elements, for sure.
And I mean, that's a really good place to start hearing hip hop is from DJ Premier himself. So
Yeah. Shout out to DJ Premier.
shout out to DJ Premier. This one I is a bit of a definitely a bit of a thinker. What would you say is the best story you've ever told on a song?
I mean, the obvious choice for me would be my song Sensitive New Age Guy,
Okay.
which is a release from 2016, and the music video tells even more of a story, but basically it paints the picture of a character called Snag, who's like a sensitive new age guy,
Mm-hmm.
which was me at the time. Um, Definitely into a lot of forms of spirituality. And like 10 years ago today, I was in India,
Wow.
studying spirituality and sustainability. So like I was there for 3 months. That period of my life was really focused on um, going to music festivals, studying Eastern spirituality, um, and just like being open to like all sorts of alternative ways of thinking. And so over time, like me and this dude Robbie Byer, who's been one of my mentors for a really long time, started joking about the Snag sensitive new age guy. So I wrote the song with him, and it just like, you'll, if you see the music video, you'll understand like how much of a story it is, because it's like this guy who's basically running a commune in his mom's house. And and like he's got all these people sprawled all over the place, and like eating all raw foods and having cuddle puddles and like chanting and just doing tons of stuff, and like starting a Kickstarter to like fund the ashram. And so
Wow.
yeah, I feel like with that song I did the best job of like really painting a picture, you know, and playing a character and telling a story for sure.
Wow.
And that's, yeah,
Does did that trip to India and that kind of immersion of into like Eastern way of thinking, did that influence your approach to songwriting at all?
definitely. Well, in India you have like totally different systems for understanding music, so the rhythmic structure of things is like something that's totally foreign to what we are used to in the US, like, or at least in Western culture. Like the time signature of everything, and where we're at is usually like 4/4 or like 6/8, or if you're listening to some complicated jazz, it could be like more complicated than that. But in India, it's on a whole nother level. And so rhythmically, as a lyricist, being able to study like ragas and Indian classical music out there gave me like a whole nother understanding of lyricism, and like, you know, being more complex with rhyme schemes in a way that isn't just like um in the ways that we're used to hearing. So, and then the other thing that I did when I was there is I recorded sounds. So I have like a sound pack that I created when I was there. So sometimes I'll use those sounds from India. Like I have some stuff from like the jungle out there, and like clap sounds. I'll have to pass this on to you, bro. I'm gonna pass you this sound pack for
I would
sure.
love that. That'd
I've
be
got
incredible.
Dropbox link, but it's also up on Bandcamp too. But yeah, definitely want to show you that. So yeah, like I was collecting sounds there. But other than that, I was also taking a step away from music to focus on like what I was doing out there, which was mostly like farming and studying sustainability. I was in this eco village called Oroville, and there's like permaculture farms and reforestation projects and different things that are trying to develop like solutions to the problems that we're facing as a humanity. And so yeah, that was like I did have some time away from music, which also gave me time to like rethink what I wanted to do. And at that time, I was like very in this like electronic music scene, which was awesome and like totally innovative, like bass music and going to music festivals and being exposed to like a more jam band kind of scene. And when I went to India, it really became a lot more clear to me that I wanted to return to that original form of hip hop that we were talking about, like the stuff that really got me started and how to move that forward and go back to that. So when I came back from India, I was like, I started my project under my name, Jackson Whalan, at that time when I got back in 2013. And so like that was a whole new chapter, which is like where I'm at right now is like the development of all of that over the last like 10 years, pretty much.
Nice. And then you just got your studio set up too, which is like a big step too. So congratulations on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, shout out to everybody who finds a good space to make music. It's a long journey to find a place where there's not some sort of like disruption, you know. I've dealt with a lot of different spaces and you know, the last thing that I want is to bother somebody with my music, you know. So I finally found this place. It's a freestanding structure and it's like I'm not bothering anybody. It's all good. I feel like if you have that situation where there's like you know that like you're by yourself and you can like express yourself fully, I feel like that's when you can really like start to find your voice.
That's interesting.
And yeah, like being in this new spot, I'm realizing that like having the right conditions for creativity is like almost as important as anything else. Any gear that you have, um anything like your the way that your space is, if you feel comfortable to create, like it's because of the space, you know, the space that you're creating. And I had to really look for this place.
Wow. That's a really interesting point, saying the conditions to create. Would you mind like breaking that down a little bit?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Like where I was at before I was in the studio, I there were other people working right outside my room. It was like a shared workspace. And then right below me there was this dude who wasn't supposed to be living there, but he like lives there. It's a commercial building, right? And he's got like machinery down there. He's doing like stained glass. Um and every time I would turn up, he would turn up. So it turned into this sound war. And like I've got my speakers, so like I would always like be louder. There was one time when he left and he left for like a couple weeks, but he left the radio blasting. And so like the level of stress that I was experiencing was like not good for putting into the music, and like it was impossible to create in those circumstances. And imagine like so many people deal with way worse problems than that and like still get away with, creating music. Like people create music no matter where they are. So it wasn't really stopping me from creating music, but I just like was on the search for a better place, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Because when you said conditions to create, it reminded me of something I read in a book. And it's The Courage to Create by Rollo May. It's an awesome book.
Cool.
And in it he talks about how creativity needs limitations. So that's what I thought you were going to get into, of like you need to have like, I don't know. I don't know how you would break that down, but that's what I thought you were going to get into. Which actually, to that point, what limitations do you think you need to be creative?
Uh-huh. It's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I could see it from that perspective. I feel like gear is a good limitation. Like, I don't want a ton of different instruments. Like, I have like Ableton. I like live percussion. I use my voice and like playing clarinet, using the turntable. That's already like a lot, you know? And like there's also a lot more you could add to that, but that's as far as I want to go. Like um I feel like when you become really good at one thing, it can be so much better than becoming really good at like, or you know, kind of good at everything. And I feel like there's like a limitation in what I'm gonna do because of that, you know. Like I want to be the best lyricist I can be, and I want to be really good at beats. And so there's that, and then there's like, I feel like routines are good limitations, because when you commit yourself to like doing something regularly, for me it's like I love doing it in the morning. Like I love making music in the morning. I always have a better day after that. Like um not working around the clock, like having a healthy lifestyle. But yeah, I feel like the gear is a big one for me. That's a healthy limitation for me personally.
Yeah, definitely. And I like that you said you make music in the mornings, because I'm definitely a morning person too. So
Nice, nice.
yeah, routine is very important. Do you write every day then when you say routine?
I do not write every day. I have been writing every day recently, and I'm trying to keep that going. Um, but yeah, to be completely honest, it's really difficult for me to find the time to sit down and just write every day. Like that's my goal, and like right now I'm on it and it feels great, and like I'm hoping I can do it today, but I haven't yet, you know, because I woke up. I have a 5-month-old son now. um I'm also like focused on my
Congratulations on that, by the
thank
way.
you, thank you
Yeah.
so much. I have to like, I'm basically getting a lot of exercise right now. Like I'm running and doing CrossFit, and you know there's just a lot that goes into the career, so like it's a challenge to be able to write all the time. But like I've found new ways of writing, because when I'm in the car, I come up with lyrics and I'm like, all right, how do I safely get these down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like when you have the map on your phone, like you can't really do like a voice memo. Um, if you, yeah, like if, so basically I have this GoPro and I just take videos of myself coming up with lyrics, and then I like transcribe them later. And I feel like I just found that, and that's my method now. Like, because
Wow.
in the moment, if you're doing something, like the GoPro has a function where you can just press this one button and it turns on and records. So you don't have to futz with it. And then like by the time you got there, you like kind of forgot what you were thinking about. Or so the GoPro is like kind of the solve for me right now.
Wow, that I would have never thought of that. That's incredible.
Dude, it was a huge breakthrough the other day, because it's basically allowed me to write every day. Yeah.
Yeah. And just like, yeah, because if you're just speaking, that's faster than writing, but that's still writing. It's still concept recording or
Yeah.
documenting.
Because if you're thinking it, yeah, just the speaking replaces the writing in that moment, and then you just do the writing later. Um, so yeah, that's been a great tool. Um, and then yeah, and then like if I don't have a track for that lyric in that moment, I'll put it in a lyrics folder, and I have like a folder of lyrics ideas that I can like, if I'm really feeling like I'm out of stuff, I could go and look in that folder. So there's definitely a lot of things that are still happening with the writing. But yeah, I'm actually like starting to write every day now because I'm working on some new music and finishing some new stuff. So
Nice. That's awesome. Good for you, man. We gotta wrap this up, unfortunately, but I have one last question for you. Who would you say are the 5 best storytellers in hip hop?
ooh, I like that. Best storytellers. Um, the classic hip hop of Slick Rick is always to be acknowledged. Um, I really think that Kendrick Lamar does a great job with that. J. Cole. Mm, I mean Eminem. Eminem.
Of course.
Who I really want to put in the mix? Um, is Guru.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
They like the song JFK to LAX. Like that's
Mhm.
a dope story. Super
Absolutely.
relatable. Yeah.
And what was the other one? It was the story he was talking about when he was taking all of his stuff up to Boston or from
Yep.
Boston to New York or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what song that is, but that's
Man, he needs to be talked about more. I feel like Guru needs to be acknowledged more, in hip hop, I think.
absolutely. It's all about his voice too.
So
So,
good. Yeah,
so
like
good.
man, every time I listen to it, it's a good reminder like that he's really dope. Like,
He is. He's done
yeah.
so much for the just the culture too.
Yeah.
Like he was talking about, I think I heard a interview with DJ Premier where he was telling DJ Premier like study flows of other artists, and he's like had a bag of flows like that he could
Yeah.
pull from to write any song. It was just super dope to hear about that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know my list is full, but like Black Thought is
Ooh,
amazing. Yeah.
that's a good one.
Immortal Technique.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I could go, dude, it could go on. Like there could be hundreds and you'd be like, oh, that one's sick
Oh
too.
man. Yeah, I could do the same thing. I like to
Yeah.
ask that question with every interview just to see what people's answers are. And most people start out with like I've heard a lot of Slick Ricks recently. So
Right. Yeah.
it's awesome. Anyway, I think that's it for this podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, hit like, subscribe, go follow Jackson. I'll link all of his socials. You're on Instagram, YouTube.
Yep. TikTok, Spotify, Apple Music,
Okay.
every streaming platform, Audio Mac.
Audio.
Yeah. Yeah, Audio Mac. Y'all better watch out for Audio Mac.
All right.
It's on the up and up.
We'll link that down below too. I'm gonna write that down. Audio Mac. All right. Yeah, I will. What I like to do with the guests too on this podcast is send them a cassette recording of this, and I just have to get some blank cassettes, and I'll start sending those out. So
Woo!
yeah, I'll let you know. Just trying to keep it hip hop, bro. But
Yeah, that's
I'll let you
awesome.
know when that's getting sent out. So yeah.
Love that.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Thank you, Alex.